Do the cash walk, do the cash walk. Hey, I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar, twist your wrist, do the cash walk. I'm dropping dollars while you're wishing on a scratch off. My hollow mama list, she just hit the jackpot. I'm leaving flaming footprints on the asphalt. Pop your collar.
Let's go! Now I'm fired up! We just heard the cash walk, right? We heard Pete Pitts! Let's go, baby! We are at the Minor Details, episode 5.
Welcome, everyone. Episode 5. I can't believe we're here already. That cash walk intro was just next level, Danny.
I love Pete. I absolutely love it, man. That was absolutely great. That is our new song to start the podcast. Yes. I hope everybody liked it. We are doing the Casey Anthony case. Casey Anthony, folks, has started a social media, and she's going to be an advocate for victims. She's going to be a crime advocate. Yeah, Casey Anthony. We're going to talk about her case. We're going to talk about how people feel about her being on TikTok and social media, and we'll get into that in a second. But Pete, how was your week, brother?
Oh, man, it was a blessed week. Very productive, busy, working on some new upcoming projects. We still have a lot going on for our new show, 24 Station Street, which we're getting blocked because there's basically some internet haters are not happy that we're putting out such amazing content on 24 Station Street. So
are you serious?
Yeah, so keep watching because guess what, Danny? When they hate, that means you're doing something right. That means you're doing something big. So
I agree, totally.
It's epic. I've been busy, brother. I think I saw you out on the kayak this week. Is that right?
Oh, listen, Pete, I'm always on that kayak, man. And you know what I caught? Absolutely nothing. I caught nothing.
Man, how long were you out there, though? I know you put in a good effort. I know you tried.
This is what happened, okay? And I'm going to tell everybody out there. What happened was the weather is screwed up. It's cold, it's hot, it's cold. And when I say cold, Vegas is, when it gets to 50 degrees, that's cold in Vegas. That's cold.
Yeah, that's Vegas cold. You're right, brother. You're absolutely right about that. Well, hey, at least you're out there having fun, man, living the dream. That's all we can do.
Right.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So I went out, and let me just explain this to everybody. Lake Mead, a lot of people don't realize, but Lake Mead is 100 miles long, Pete. It's 100 miles long. It goes between Arizona. The Colorado River feeds it. It goes between Arizona and Nevada. The best fishing ever. But no, I didn't catch anything. But I did play poker last night, Pete.
Okay, nice. Any big wins that we need to hear about, or should we keep it on the DL for now?
Listen, I lost the poker tournament last night. I got to admit, I lost the poker tournament last night. But I came right back and wanted in the cash game. I wanted it all back. And I was up $38 when it was all said and done. $38, baby!
Beautiful, brother. It's so much fun, man. I miss just going in and having fun, playing a few games. There is no city in the world like Las Vegas. So shout out to Vegas. Shout out to our home. I can't wait till we really start doing some big Vegas events and bring out the whole community for our meet and greets. That's going to be epic. Do that.
We look really good. We look really, really good on Facebook. And Facebook has captions. So my East Coast accent, people are going to be able to understand.
Hey, shout out to Facebook. I know a lot of people are not on every single platform. So shout out to all the ones that are just on Facebook or just on YouTube or just on IG. Wherever you're listening from, feel free to leave us a comment. This show today, this episode, Danny, it's going to be one of our most polarizing episodes ever. I know there's going to be some emotions that are going to run high, including my own, as we talk about this case today. So I want everyone to feel free to express yourselves, comment within reason of what the platform will allow, and tell us what you think.
Yeah, I totally agree. We want everybody's opinion on this case. This case, you know, it runs deep with me too, Pete, because you're talking about a little girl, and then she blamed her father. It's a case we want everybody's input in. And Pete, I just want to tell you this. Starting next week, we're gonna stream also to X. We're gonna have a new X. The Minor Details will have an X platform. So we're gonna stream the X. We're gonna stream the Twitch, and there might be other places we stream to because we upgraded our podcast and we could stream to like 14 or 15 different social media platforms.
Wow, Danny, that's so exciting. I love that. I was actually just doing some research on Twitch today. There's a young man named Ninja who's the #1 Twitch streamer. I think we might be able to beat him if we really, really hit the overdrive, Danny, because we got some catching up to do. This guy's really big on Fortnite streaming. But hey, Twitch, we're going to be excited to be on Twitch, as well as X, as well as everywhere else. Now, Danny,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, before we jump into the case, I wanted to talk about a couple of weekly highlights. I know you might have something. Did you have anything first?
You know what? The thing that I want to talk about is, Pete, and it's going to be crime related because that's what I do.
Yeah.
Pete, last Super Bowl, there was 3 Kansas City Chiefs fans that froze to death in a backyard. And Pete, it was suspicious circumstance. They had a party, a Super Bowl party at their buddy's house. He goes to bed. When he wakes up in the morning, he looks in his backyard and his 3 buddies are frozen to death. They never left his house. He went to bed first. They never left his house and somehow they froze to death in the backyard. Now, Pete, last year, I had one of the girlfriends on my podcast. She was devastated that her boyfriend passed away through all of this. And she didn't know how it happened, why he froze to death in the backyard. Well, folks, there was an arrest yesterday. They arrested 2 guys, and it was a mixture of cocaine and fentanyl. Fentanyl and cocaine, Pete. And basically, it put them all 3 unconscious, and they froze to death in the backyard in harsh conditions in Kansas City.
Wow. And these were just some football fans going to watch the game. So it took them a whole year to make the arrest, Danny?
Yes, a whole year. It's been a year. It was the last Super Bowl. It was actually over a year.
Wow, that's so tragic. Our hearts go out to all the families, all the victims. It is good to finally get closure, even if it takes so long. And in the case we're going to talk about today, it's been many, many years, and there still is no closure. So that's one reason that the temperatures are going to get boiling later. But before we jump into that, Danny, I wanted to just talk about, as well as that case you mentioned, I wanted to talk about some news that I saw pop up in my feed.
Okay.
Some of the viewers know that I've been into cryptocurrency for a while. I've been studying cryptocurrency. I study different investments. And recently, President Trump has announced that he wants to use cryptocurrency as a strategic U.S. reserve format. And basically, he wants to make America the cryptocurrency capital of the world. So what do you think about that, Danny? What do you think about America being the crypto capital?
I'm going to be honest with you, Pete. I heard about this a couple months ago that he might do this. I think it's like XRP they're calling it or something you're going to be able to pay the government. We're going to use this. And I'm going to be honest with you, Pete. I'm going to invest in this. I don't know how to invest. I'm not an investor. I know nothing about any of this crap, but I'm going to do it because I think it's going to happen. One thing about Trump, like him or hate him, okay? Because people either like him or hate him. There's really no in between with this man. You either like him or you can't stand him. So when he says he's going to do something, though, he fucking does it. You got him. He does it. So I'm going to invest in this, Pete. Honestly, I never invested in my life, but I'm going to invest in this.
Yeah, Danny, I think that it's really something that's exciting to think about. I know lots of people personally, as well as the millions of strangers I don't know, who have been making lots and lots of money from cryptocurrency in the past decade or so. Also, of course, people are losing money with every investment, Danny. You can win, you can lose. Imagine if we invested around a little over 100 years ago after the Great Depression just hit, when the stock market tanked back after 1929. Imagine if you invested at the bottom of the stock market then. What would your family generational wealth be worth today? It's insane to think about.
It's crazy. And Pete, here's the thing. I mean, I don't have a ton of money. I ain't one of these rich guys. I can't put $20,000 down or something like that. But I'm honestly thinking about putting 1,000. I'm thinking because you're talking these shares are going to be low. If this goes out of control, this can make people rich. I'm just saying it can.
It's very possible, yeah. So I think it's just something exciting to talk about in the world of investments, just something to consider. And of course, a lot of people I know are just strictly against it. They say, no, I don't want anything to do with it. I don't understand it. I don't trust it. You got to keep in mind, cryptocurrency has only been around really since 2009. So that's a very new market. We're looking at about 16 years that it's been around. So imagine in another 16 to 20 years, how much more prevalent it's going to be. But anyway, there's so much news going on, Danny. I know you're covering a million cases. Are there any other cases that you wanted to bring up before we jump into our big case today?
Yeah, right before we jump in our big case, right before we went on, maybe about, I don't know, 2-3 hours, Pete, there's been breaking news in the JonBenet Ramsey.
Okay.
A lady's coming out. She believes her boyfriend, who was a reporter at the time, and paparazzi in Los Angeles might be the suspect. She said on Christmas Day, they were living in Boulder. He went out and made an excuse that he had to go to work or something like that. He came back with his clothes all muddy. He laid them on the floor and took a quick shower when he came back. How would he get his clothes muddy at a Christmas party or a holiday party? Okay, that's the first thing. And then he started saying crazy stuff like them people up on the hill, talking about rich people up on the hill that he didn't like them. And then it came out that she was found dead, JonBenet, and he started saying, that's her father. Her father did it. They should fucking kill him. He started saying they should kill her father. And then, Pete, he looked at her and said, me and O.J. Simpson have a lot in common. That's what he told his girlfriend. And there's more to this, Pete. I'm briefing this, but there's a lot of things. And the police questioned him. They've questioned him. He's only two guys, one of two guys that they questioned and brought them in and interrogated them. And he's one of them. He refused to give him a handwriting analysis. He refused to give him anything. He was uncooperative. And there was rope he bought where there was missing rope out of the rope that he bought. Like this is breaking news 3-4 hours ago, folks. 3-4 hours ago.
Wow, Danny. So what does your gut tell you when you hear all this news? It sounds like some evidence and it sounds like some pretty strong suspicion. Does your gut tell you that this is a viable suspect?
It could be. You know, we had so many of these over the years. But here's the thing. She said she actually called the police and gave them the clothes. So
Really?
that's what she's saying. So if there was anything on them clothes, I think they would have found them. Like, I don't know, Pete. We had so many hopes and then they just get drowned out. You know what I mean? In this case. So I don't know. You know, I really don't know.
Yeah. Wow, Danny. And the last thing I'll bring up really quick in lieu of another case that we've been talking about that we're continuing to follow, of course, the Bryan Kohberger case.
Oh, yes.
Talk of the 3 different people's DNAs under the fingernails of one of the victims. Do you want to talk about that briefly before we start on our other topic?
Yeah, sure. And to the Bryan Kohberger case, Maddie, one of the girls, the victims in the case, they found 3 different DNAs underneath her fingernails. And Kohberger's was not one of them. But folks, you got to realize we are touching things every day. Like if you're holding hands with somebody, you could get DNA on your fingertips. And listen, men keep their fingernails short, women keep them long. So women are scratching DNA off you when they touch you because they have longer fingernails. So Pete, it's not a big deal, but to the conspiracy theorists out there, this is the biggest thing since sliced bread. You know what I mean? They think, oh my God, he's not guilty. But I just did a video before we came on. His lawyer has filed a motion to get rid of the evidence that they got off Amazon because his Amazon searches show that he bought the weapon. He bought the weapon off of Amazon. Okay, so he's screwed. I mean, they got it. They're trying to get that out of there, and he's trying to say other people had access to my Amazon. It could have been my mother. It could have been my brother. Get out of here. Get out of here.
So I wonder, is that the grounds that the defense is using to try to get it thrown out? That their line of defense is that someone else maybe used his computer? Is that what they're saying to order that?
Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to tell everybody out there: being a cop, going through jury trials, when defense attorneys don't have a defense, they have to go after the evidence. They have to try to get it out of there. So they'll make motions to try to get the evidence thrown out. That's what they have to do. When there's so much evidence against their client and they don't have a defense, they have to go after the cops and they have to go after the evidence. So that's what they're doing here. There's no defense. His DNA was found on the case of the murder weapon underneath one of the victims. They pinged his phone at the crime scene when it happened. Okay. And they have his searches on Amazon that he was buying this weapon. So this case is over, Pete. It's over. So they have to try to get the DNA. They have to try to get the evidence thrown out. So that's what they're doing now. I hope everybody understands that.
Yeah. Wow, Danny. Well, we will be reporting live from Idaho when that happens. And just so everyone knows out there, for anyone who prospectively really loves the show and wants to be more involved, Danny and I are actively considering sponsorship right now. Isn't that right, Danny?
Yeah. We want to go to these scenes. We're going to go to the different places. and we are definitely going to go to Idaho.
Yes.
Pete, I still believe that this man may plead guilty. And I know that's crazy to say, but his attorney, her responsibility is to keep him off that death penalty.
Yes.
So when it comes down to it, if they can make a deal to keep him off that death penalty, the man will plead guilty. And if that happens, we'll still go there for him to plead guilty. Me and you will still be there.
Yes.
We are going to be here for that, the beginning of the trial and the end of the trial. We will be there. We can promise our followers that.
Yes, absolutely, Danny. I'd say in my gut feeling, I feel like it's a 30 to 35% chance that they will enter a guilty plea. I don't know why I feel that number, but I do feel like it is a good chance. It's not unlikely at all. I think it very likely could happen. And Danny, before we jump right into Casey Anthony and baby Kaylee and talk about this case today, I just want to do a brief entertainment spotlight, and I want to shout out the movie. We worked on a movie. A lot of people don't know. Danny and I worked on a movie together called Easy's Waltz. It's coming out soon, starring Al Pacino, Vince Vaughn, Simon Rex, and many more. Danny, do you want to tell the viewers just a quick few seconds about Easy's Waltz? Anything you can say?
Listen, guys. Now, Pete, I didn't know Pete until this movie. You followed me on TikTok, Pete, but I really didn't know you. I met Pete basically on this movie set. We're both in this. This is a big movie, guys. This isn't just a little tiny movie. This is a major movie. It's done by the director of True Detectives from HBO.
Yes.
Okay? He made this movie called Easy's Waltz. Vince Vaughn is in it. It was filmed here in Vegas. Al Pacino's in it. Simon Rex is in it. In fact, during break, I peed right next to Simon Rex. Right at this, he was in the next urinal with me during the set. So yes, folks, me and Pete are in this movie, and I think me and Pete are going to be in this movie a lot. A lot. I really do. Unless they cut us out. I don't think they'll cut us out.
No, believe it. And so stay tuned for Easy's Waltz. This movie is going to be phenomenal. We'll let you know when we hear an official release date. In the meantime, we'll just keep you updated on the current cases. So, Danny, are you ready to go ahead and jump right in and talk about Kaylee Anthony and this case today?
Yes, I'm ready to jump in, but 1 second, Pete.
Okay.
This is my first movie release. This is the first movie I was ever in. Friggin' Pete, it's in over 100 and some movies. How are you still excited about this, Pete? You still get excited?
Hey, this is one of the most exciting ever. To me, every day on the movie set is like, I'm like a kid at an amusement park. I'm like a kid at Disney World. I just love it. And I love to tell people this all the time. If you do what your soul resonates with in life, you're never going to work a day in your life. You're never going to have a hard day. It's always fun. It's exciting. So that's how I feel on movie and TV show sets. That's why I decided to commit my life to entertainment and to inspiring other people through film and cinema and music. Danny, it never gets old for me. I can't wait for the next set. I'm ready, baby.
I'll be honest with you. I want to be in a movie again. I thought it was fun. It was exciting. And like me and Pete didn't talk and we didn't brag here, but me and Pete both almost got a major part in this movie. We were very close. Very, very close. They needed a good-looking older guy. There we are. They wanted both. And me and Pete were up for the part.
We were in there, man. We were there. It was such an amazing experience. Yes. And that can happen on movies. When we talk about some entertainment episodes, and we'll specifically talk about acting and working on movie sets in the future, Danny, we can tell people more what it's like and how literally by being on the set, your life can change in a second, just like that.
Yeah, and it was funny because I just got a W-2 from acting. I never thought I'd get that. I got a W-2 in the mail from acting. So,
Nice.
Pete, if I got paid to be an actor, I'm an actor now. Am I right?
You're a paid actor.
Okay. All right, let's get into this. We've been talking too much about ourselves. Guys, we are serious when we say this. Do you believe Casey Anthony should be on social media? Do you think she should pretend to be an activist for victims and her daughter? The guts she has to mention her daughter is shocking to me. But for people that don't know this case, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know how you don't know this case. This was like the biggest case around back in the early 2000s, right?
Yes.
So, Pete, in 2008, right?
Yes.
It was July 15th. The mother of Casey Anthony, her name is Cindy, she calls 911 and tells 911 that her granddaughter has been missing for 31 days. Kaylee. Her granddaughter, Kaylee, has been missing for 31 days. She also explains that her daughter, okay, Casey, she has different stories. She tells 911 this. I didn't see her. I don't know where she is. I gave her to a friend. She has all kind of stories. Let me ask all the mothers out there. Do you think you might know where your child is for 31 fucking days? Okay? How that jury didn't convict this woman, I'll never, ever understand it. She basically didn't know where her child was, for God's sake. Right, Pete?
Danny, this is one of the most outrageous cases. I told you from the beginning last week when we announced that we're going to talk about this. I said, you're probably going to hear me yelling on this show. This is the time where I'm probably going to match your intensity. And I'm going to try to start off with keeping it controlled because this is an outrage, Danny. This is an absolute outrage. Okay. As soon as I heard about this story, obviously my stomach turned. Obviously I was sickened. And just this week to see this news, Casey Anthony is now on TikTok supporting herself as a legal advocate. I'm just really appalled, Danny. I can't believe TikTok allowed her on, first of all, in that forum, in that capacity.
I mean, guys, I'm going to tell you this. TikTok, and I know TikTok gets bashed by our U.S. government, but TikTok is without a doubt the strictest app on the platform. TikTok don't allow you to get away with anything, Pete. Nothing. No. Am I right? I mean, you'll get your video taken down for any signs of talking about violence, anything. I mean, TikTok is very, very strict. That's why I got to say unalived instead of death. I can't say murder. Like, TikTok is strict. But for them to give somebody like her a platform, I think it's not good. I do. I don't think it's good.
Danny, I think your video that you posted either today or yesterday covered it. You said, okay, now I'm going to follow Dahmer. Now I'm going to follow all the serial killers. Now I'm going to follow every criminal in history. What are we opening up the door to? What are we, if we start with this, and of course, we're assuming that most people know the case now. We briefly talked about the case. Long story short, Casey Anthony was only convicted of lying to officers, misdemeanor lying to officers, 4 counts, I believe, and she was not convicted of unaliving her daughter, Kaylee. So now she's not only out running around free, but now she's making money through a subscription model on TikTok where she's claiming to be a legal advocate. And so where is this going to go to? What's the next step? Is it going to be a platform for criminals where all the criminals join and we just follow these evil people? I mean, what are we opening the door to? I want to know.
Pete, here's the thing. Our whole country has an infatuation with criminals. I truly, truly believe that they have an infatuation with criminals. Think about this. Gypsy Rose, she has a platform now, right? If the Menendez brothers get out of jail, they'll be on every fucking talk show. They'll be on every social media. These guys would be instantly making money. Instantly. And folks, I'm telling you, there is humongous money on social media. Humongous money. These guys could get rich off social media. I'll guarantee you, Gypsy Rose don't have to work. Her social media is going to take care of her. And it makes me sick that this is going to happen to Casey Anthony because I looked, her first day, she got 35,000 followers, Pete. 35,000 followers her first day that I've seen her on TikTok. She had 35,000. So 35,000 people are going to follow an alleged baby killer. Alleged. We got to say alleged. She was found not guilty. So really, technically, she's not guilty. But in my mind, she's guilty.
Well, Danny, as soon as I found out she was on there, I looked it up on TikTok just to see if my eyes would deceive me or not, or if I could really find her. Sure enough, I found her profile, and she had around 50 or 60K already as soon as I saw her on there. So it's pretty sickening to me because here's the thing, Danny. I, of course, support the opportunities we have here in America, the opportunities we have in the world through social media, and I support being able to have a voice. But at what point are we cutting that off and saying, you know what? No, you're not the right voice that needs to be given a major platform. Because here's the message that I'm afraid that we're sending to young people or people of any age who want to be criminals. Are we sending a message to say, it's okay, go ahead and commit a crime, because if you get convicted or not, don't worry, you can blow up on social media, and social media will give you a free microphone and a free bag of money just talking about it. Is that the message we're sending, Danny? Because it almost feels like it to me right now.
Pete, anybody that comes out of jail right now that was like a big high profile case, they're going to be rich. And listen, I'm going to tell you this. We talked about the Brian Kohlberger case, right? We all talked about it. I will guarantee you, win or lose, the lawyers in these cases are going to be celebrities. They'll be on CNN, they'll be on MSNBC, Fox News. These lawyers in this case will be celebrities. We are intrigued by crime in this country, and we make people into celebrities because of crime. Think about the O.J. Simpson case. How many celebrities came from that case?
It's pretty mind-blowing. And if a lot of people, I wouldn't assume a lot, but if some people out there don't know the full details of the summary, we can get into it just a little bit with Casey Anthony and why not only is she so despised in America, but in the world when people hear her story. Well, one of the biggest things is, of course, the period of time that it took to report baby Kaylee. Why did it take a month? Why did it take 31 days for her to be reported missing? And this is just unacceptable on every level. There is absolutely no world where this is okay. There's no storyline, context. I don't care what the excuse is. That's not okay for any reason, Danny.
And here's the thing. For people that don't know this case, she was a party girl. Okay? Listen, let's be honest. She's a good-looking girl, right? So she probably used her looks her whole entire life, right? So she's gonna, like they said, I believe she even like flirted with the cops when they were interviewing her and stuff. You know what I mean? She has that swag about her, like, I can get any guy, the guys are gonna like me. She was a party woman. And I personally think that kid got into her way of her partying lifestyle. And she got rid of the kid because it was interfering with her partying lifestyle. I'll always think that.
Danny, you and I and most people like to go out and have fun from time to time. Not everyone parties. Not everyone goes out drinking or doing drugs or whatever, or dancing at clubs. We all have different ways of enjoying life, and that's cool. It's great to enjoy life. But imagine, Danny, when you were a young father, if you had just decided to do that. You know what? I'm just going to go party for a month straight, and I'm going to enter a hot body contest. She was entering a freaking hot body contest while
her daughter was missing.
While she's gone, she's out there dancing and shaking it for dollar bills.
It absolutely makes me sick. And how does a jury see this and not convict her? Pete, I don't know. Like, what happened to Casey? Casey killed herself? Like, what the hell happened? I mean, not Casey, Kaylee. What happened to Kaylee? She killed herself? Absolutely not. She didn't kill herself. Somebody killed her, okay? Her mother didn't report her missing in fact, she never reported her missing. The grandmother reported her missing.
Yeah. And for those of the listeners who don't know, it took 4 months of time total from the date that she was missing, approximately 4 months, until baby Kaylee was discovered in Orlando, Florida, not far from the parents' house, about 15 or 20 yards away from a road, kind of in a field. And her skull was found first, a human skull, yes, and then the bones as well.
And it was probably like a UPS driver or something, or FedEx. Am I right?
I believe he was like a utilities or something, but kind of an official capacity. And
he was working in that area or something, right?
He was taking a break from work, so he kind of stepped off the road to get some fresh air, grab some air or whatever, and he stumbled upon the remains. He immediately called the authorities. He called his boss. They called in the CSU right away. Of course, they determined right away with some anthropology experts that came. They said, yes, this is a human remains, and after DNA testing, yes, it was in fact baby Kaylee. So no COD has been determined, no cause of what actually took baby Kaylee's life. But like you said, we know she didn't go out to that field and do that to herself. We know someone did that to her. Someone neglected her life, this little baby who should have had a chance.
Pete, you are exactly right. That's what I believe happened. As an investigator, as a detective, I think she didn't pay attention to Kaylee with her party lifestyle, and Kaylee was accidentally killed. Somehow, I don't know how she was accidentally killed. She was neglected to the point that the girl was accidentally killed somehow, and she hid her body. That's my feeling of this case from day one. Do I think Casey killed her own kid? No. but I think she neglected her to the point that the kid was killed somehow through neglect. That's what I believe.
Yeah, and I think that through that neglect, she should be held accountable, because whether or not she did the act herself, we may never know that. But Casey Anthony herself admitted, even back then and throughout the years, she said, "Oh yeah, I was an excellent liar. I'm an excellent liar. I'm really good at lying." She prided herself on being a liar, and she was caught in multiple lies. And those were actually the only convictions that were put forth, were 4 misdemeanor counts of lying to law enforcement officers. First of all, I think it should have been a felony count of lying, but I'm kind of shocked that that's all that the jury convicted her of. That's all the jury agreed she was guilty of, just lying.
I agree, Pete. And here's the other thing, and I pick on attorneys all the time, but her attorney, I believe his name was Baez, right? Am I right?
Yeah, Baez.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like, Pete, think about this. Now, I granted we need defense attorneys. So we all need defense attorneys out there. But how do you like sleep good at night? Like, how did Baez go home that night and say, "Honey, oh my God, I got a killer off. Let's celebrate. Let's have a shot and a fucking beer." Like, how does he celebrate that? Like, how do you sleep at night? This is to defense attorneys. How do you sleep at night? How do you go home thinking, "Boy, I did a good job"? Now, Pete, they're going to tell you they're truth seekers and they just want the truth, which is total bullshit lie. They lie and they try to get you to look at something else other than the truth. And I don't care what defense attorneys don't like me. You are what you are. You chose your profession. Sleep with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, they just want the money. They just want their case record. I've seen the entire series Suits. I know how it works in the courtroom, sadly.
Yes. Yeah, and it's true. It's 100% true, man. It's all about money.
Yeah, and Danny, the defense attorney, it was Baez. His first name was Jose. So Jose Baez, he had a couple different tactics that were interesting. One of the tactics was he tried to demolish the investigations of the lead investigator, the lead anthropologist, who basically did the medical examinations on baby Kaylee and said, "Well, yes, this is in fact Kaylee. Yes, she obviously was deceased at this period of time. We don't know the official cause of death because there was not enough remains left." But that was one of his tactics. Mr. Baez was just to attack her. And another tactic he used was to attack Casey's father and to say that Casey's father let baby Kaylee drown. And then this was just a cover up. What do you think?
And basically, he also said that the father was sexually assaulting Casey.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, could you imagine? Now listen to this. Listen what kind of human being you have to be. You unalive your daughter somehow. Might be by accident. You might have did it. Who the hell knows? You neglect your daughter for 31 days. That's a fucking fact. Okay, you didn't know where your daughter was for 31 days. Then you even lower yourself more to blame your own father and then say he molested you. This girl, to me, is the worst human being on the planet. Honestly, how could you do that? I don't know how you do that, Pete. And oh, by the way, Casey, you're welcome to come on our platform. And I'll be DMing you when we get off. I'm going to invite you on because me and Pete don't like you. But we're going to give you a platform if you want to say your piece. You're welcome here. Right, Pete?
Yeah, absolutely. We will let the world hear from her if she decides to come on. I don't think she will, but if she does, we will welcome her. And I'm going to ask her if she does. I'm going to say, what do you think? Why do you think being a mother is so important? Why do you think being a parent is such a big responsibility? Because you have life in your hands. You have that responsibility, that accountability to be the number one person who makes sure that child grows into a healthy adult human at some point. It's up to you. And if she's passing the buck to her parents and out there partying, and not only that, she was out there partying in Orlando while she claimed to be in Jacksonville and back and forth, and just all this suspicious lying party behavior that there's just really not one good thing I can say from hearing this story about her, sadly.
And you know what? We didn't mention this, Pete. Her father is a retired cop.
Wow. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, she think of this. Think about being the grandparents of this kid, okay? You find out your granddaughter is dead. You find out that your daughter may have killed her. And then it goes to trial and you're worried, oh my God, I lost my granddaughter. Now I'm going to lose my daughter for the rest of my life. And then your daughter turns on you and says you did it. Could you imagine that you did it? The people that called up and said she was missing, you did it. The father did it. And that goes back to Baez. He came up with this. They sat in a fucking room somewhere and came up with this. And I don't care what he says, he came up with this bullshit lie. And seriously, how do you sleep at night? Jose Baez, how do you sleep at night? I wouldn't be able to. But you know what? Someday, if there's a God upstairs, we're all going to be judged. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I'm sure they were just sitting around the room pitching ideas. They were just saying, who can we pass the blame to? How can we get out of this? How can we take the finger away from Casey and point it in some other direction? But at the end of the day, there has to be an accountability for her as the mother. Unless, here's the one exception, Danny. If the day that baby Kaylee was born, if Casey had signed away her legal guardianship to a different parental guardian, that might be a different story. That did not happen here, correct? She was.
No, that did not happen.
So I can't think of any other scenario where it would be okay to allow your child to be missing for 31 days. I think this in itself should be some kind of crime. I think that there should be some kind of accountability. I mean, is there not any law that would restrict parents from doing this? Because it's got to stop, man. We can't have this repeated.
No, and in Pennsylvania, I'm just going by Pennsylvania law. I believe this happened. Am I right? I'm trying to think of Florida, right?
Yeah, this is Florida, correct.
Yeah. In Pennsylvania, we have a child endangerment charge. So if you put a child in any kind of endangerment, you can be charged. There's a misdemeanor count of it and a felony account of it. You don't think this was child endangerment? I mean, come on.
100%. So I know her charge. She was charged with first-degree murder. She was charged with aggravated child abuse, aggravated manslaughter of a child, and proving false information to a law enforcement. Out of those charges, only one of them was indicted. Only one of them she was found guilty of, and that was the providing false information. How is she not found guilty of at least the aggravated child abuse or endangerment to some degree? How?
Well, listen, to the jury that found her not guilty, do you guys have a brain? Do you have a brain? Did you sit there and think, I wonder what happened to her? Come on, jury. You really fucked up on this one. And I'm going to call it straight the way it is. Listen, people don't like me, Pete. You know why they don't like me? Because I don't fluff things. I don't sugarcoat anything. Okay? This jury fucked up. And that's the fact.
I agree. And I don't really know. I don't know how these people were made to be jurors. I don't know anything about the jury here in this case. I did not research them personally as I was researching this case. However, I don't think that anyone should be able to sleep at night knowing that, hey, I've just let this person go who very, very likely could have murdered her own daughter. Maybe didn't, but at the very least, she was negligent to the degree of allowing it to happen at the very least.
And you know what, Pete? I'm going to bring something up that we're not even thinking about. The way this country is divided right now, we both know, and I'm not going to bring politics up. I'm just very briefly. But the way this country is divided, left and right, and there's nobody in the middle. Pete, I worry about juries because if you look in the left don't trust cops. They don't trust authority. They trust nobody. You get somebody on the left on a jury, you got a good chance of getting not guilty. That's what worries me about the Kohberger case, because a lot of people that are extreme left, they hate cops. They hate cops. The cop could be right 100%, but they'll find the fault in the cop and find somebody not guilty. It worries me that there is brainwashing going on in this world, that cops are all no good. They all tell wrong stories. They're all no good. And the fact is 98% of the cops in this country are great individuals, men and women.
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. And I can see that programming happening constantly. It's constantly being spoon-fed through media, through different agendas, through different films, through different music formats. And it's very sad because, like you said, it's obviously that's not the case. It's not an all bad situation. They're not all get us. Are there those of them who are out to get us? Probably. But that's just being realistic. We also have to be logical and understand that we're all human beings. Every doctor is a human being. Every lawyer, every cop, even every criminal. And sometimes there's overlap. That's why you have cops who are criminals sometimes, or doctors who are bad doctors, or lawyers who are paid under the table. And yes, of course these things do happen, but we can't assume that it's always happening all the time. We have to look at each individual case, I think. And in this case, Danny, I think it's so clear. We haven't even talked about yet the duct tape evidence, the chloroform that was present in Casey's car. So do you want to bring that up, how duct tape was found on baby Kaylee's mouth and how chloroform was found in the car of Casey Anthony?
And see, that makes me think, this is what makes me think it was bad. I think she tried to put the girl to sleep while she was partying. Honest to God, that's what I think, guys. I think that's why you found that in the car. I think that's why you found the duct tape. I think this girl was this party girl that wanted attention from men. She liked the attention from men. She went out there, she danced, and she didn't care about her fucking kid. All she cared about was attention from men and partying. And I think that's what she did. She put her girl out, put her in the trunk, the kid died. I honestly, truly believe that.
Danny, chloroform is not an easy to access household object or item that we keep in our supplies normally. I don't have a bottle of chloroform handy. It's not on the shelves over here. So why in the world was chloroform in her car? I want to know that. Why were traces?
How about the jury? Let's ask the jury. Jury, why was that in her car? Why? Yeah. Why didn't she know where her daughter was for 31 days? My God, I could have prosecuted this case.
Absolutely.
This is crazy.
You would have been great, Danny. And then the next thing to lead on to the chloroform question, Jose Baez, Casey's attorney, asked the prosecution and the medical examiner, was there chloroform present in baby Kaylee's deceased skeleton that they found? The answer was no. And then the defense attorney immediately says, okay, great, case closed. I told you there was no chloroform present. Well, they didn't get to finish. The rest of the statement is no, because chloroform dissipates in a body after a few days. It's not the trace elements are not going to be scientifically present.
Right.
So it wouldn't have been there because it dissipates. Why was it present in the car? Because it was contained in that trunk space in that area where the fumes were actually still there in that period of time that they measured it. So this case is just, it's really a big, I think it's kind of a slap in the face, Danny, to the legal system.
Yeah, and Jose Baez, you're a truth seeker. You're a truth seeker for the court. Yep, that's why you lied about that. That's why you cut the witness off, because you don't want to hear the jury to hear the fucking truth. Seriously, defense attorneys, how do you sleep at night? How do you sit there, go home to your wife and kids and say, oh, God damn it, honey, I did a great job today. I'm going to defend Charles fucking Manson. Pete, to me, that's not worth the money. I don't give a fuck how much they pay me. No. That is not worth the money, man. And I know we need defense attorneys. I get it. But you don't have to be a liar. You don't have to be a crook, okay? But let's admit it. Half of them are. I said what I said. I don't care.
We talk about this show. I think throughout the episodes, we're going to see money is constantly a motivating factor to a lot of these criminals and a lot of these, of course, defense attorneys who, in my opinion, are not far from criminals themselves. They're just legally able to abide in the courtroom. And yes, they get a big pack of settlements and cash they take home to their wives or whatever. That's how they're sleeping at night. I guess maybe medicating themselves, maybe drinking or smoking or snorting themselves awake. I don't know. But the point is that they're literally putting money above human life. They're putting money above the value of what's right or wrong. And they're saying, you know what? It's okay in my situation because I made a way for it to be okay through my story and my narrative.
Yeah, and this is what they do. They come home and say, guess what, honey? We're going to fucking Disney World. I got a baby killer off. Let's go to Disney World, family. I got a baby killer off. How do you sleep at night? I'll never fucking understand that, ever.
Absolutely. And I think that Casey's demeanor throughout the entire ordeal shows what kind of person she is. I think it's very obvious what kind of mother she is. And Danny, as we're approaching the last 15 minutes of the episode today, I just want to give an opportunity for any of the viewers to comment with your own statements or questions. And I want to ask you, Danny, and anyone else out there about her being on TikTok. Why are already 50 or 60,000 people following her? I know we have a thirst for it as human beings, like in terms of like, we want to know what's going on in the criminal mind, but to actually follow someone, that's saying that you advocate for them, in my opinion.
I agree, Pete, but I'm going to go back to, and I hate to say this, we have a lot of stupid people. I'm going to be honest with you. People are stupid. Okay, you can tell them that you have DNA on a fucking case of the murder weapon that killed 4 college students, but somehow these idiots think the man's not guilty. And I'm sorry for being like this today, but it is what it is. We are an uncensored podcast. We're going to say what it is. I don't fluff anything. If you think Brian Kohlberger's not guilty, you're insane. You're insane. You're a crazy person. And that's the problem. We have a bunch of crazy people anymore on this planet. I'm just being honest with you, Pete.
You're probably right. So I think the big question is, how do we help these people? What can we do? Or are we too far gone? Can we do anything? I just want to know, are these followers of hers, are these people who are actually rallying behind her and they actually look at her as a legal advocate now? Or are these just people that are just thirsty for what the crazy woman has to say? I'm kind of curious.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. If she's saying she's a legal advocate, we're a crime podcast. Come on our podcast. Tell me what you're going to do. How are you going to legally advocate for people? Let's hear how you're going to do it. Casey, here's the platform. We don't like you, but we'll respect you while you're on here. We'll respect what you said, and we're going to give you a platform. Anybody knows her, get this to her, okay? And I want to say thank you to all the YouTubers because we had a consistent amount of people in there, a consistent stay in there.
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in on all platforms. Thank you, everyone. And yes, to Casey Anthony, we would definitely love to have you on the show so we can talk, so we can have the fans and the viewers express what they think. Obviously, she already knows it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be nice words, more than likely, but that's her responsibility. That's the life that she's built. She's built this house. She has to live in it.
And listen, if you were her, think about this, guys. You got away with murder, okay? You got away with it. Wouldn't you just go into hiding? Like, be quiet somewhere. But here's the problem. She can't make a living. So this is the way she's going to make a living because she can't afford to live the lifestyle she wants. And social media is very lucrative. You get a big platform on here, you're going to make a lot of money. And you watch. If she's at 50,000 now, Pete, I hate to say this, she'll be at 1 million by the end of the month. And it's going to make me sick. It's going to make me sick, but she's going to have 1 million followers.
Well, all I can really say is the way I feel about it is if she's a legal advocate, I'm a flying, fire-breathing elephant. I'm a unicorn if she's a legal advocate. Okay, I don't see any world where that's really going to fly. Of course, you can call yourself anything these days. Danny, you're a consultant. You really are a consultant because you do consulting about cases and crimes. But people call themselves consultants now these days. And that's what she's saying. Oh, I'm a legal consultant. I'm a legal advocate. Just because you've been through this and you've been through it badly, might I add, does not give you the right to even represent our legal system in America. That's not the America I'm proud of. So I will say no. As an American, no, you're not allowed to be a legal advocate in my country.
No, absolutely not. Casey Anthony, we don't want you to be a legal advocate, okay? We know what you did. We're not stupid like the jury. The jury was stupid. We're not going to be your attorney and hear your fucking nonsense. We know what you are. But we'll still give you a platform to say it because we want to question you. I want to know why you didn't know your daughter was missing for 31 days. Come here and let me know. Now, listen, you can incriminate yourself. You can actually, and people don't realize this, Pete, she can come on this podcast with me and you and say, you know what, Danny and Pete, I fucking did it. I killed my daughter. And there's nothing we can do about it because she was already tried and found not guilty. That would be double jeopardy. So she can now admit she killed her and nothing could be done with it. Zero.
I think the only reason she probably has not already admitted it, Danny, is because the level of hate that she's receiving still has a lid and it still has a limit. And she probably understands that as soon as she does admit that, it's just going to go through the roof. There's going to be nowhere safe where, I mean, she's not going to be able to go to a grocery store without being cussed out or without being despised. With good reason, because baby Kaylee deserves it. Baby Kaylee deserved a life. So Kaylee deserves us to speak about this so we can prevent these things from happening by talking about this true crime.
I totally agree, Pete. And I'm glad we're doing this. I really am. She would have 1 million followers if she'd admit it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's true.
Definitely.
Yeah, Pete, you know, I mean, Lou brought up a good point there. I mean, if she admitted it, and I'm gonna be now. Murder's a different thing, but one thing about America, Pete, we forgive people that admit things. We do. America, if you sit there and say, I did this, I'm sorry, blah, 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 people will forgive you in America. They really will. But some people go to their grave with the lie. They really will. To me, it's better to come out with the truth in everything you do.
Yeah, I think so. And I think this is such a delicate case that I think this is kind of on the borderline of what people will forgive. And, and I say for me personally, I don't think I would ever forgive her just being as a fellow citizen, as a fellow human being, one of my neighbors in America. I don't want a person like that out there running around partying in my streets, let alone on social media saying I'm a legal advocate now and I'm trying to help other people. I think that's what bothers me so much, Danny, is she's using this as an excuse to try to, again, I think it's a lie. She's trying to lie and say, now I want to help. No, of course, I don't think she really wants to help. I think she just wants that social media bag. She wants that platform money.
Oh, I agree. It's all about money. And guys, I'm telling you, I hate to really say this, but this girl's going to make money. It makes me sick, but she's going to make money. It makes me totally sick. But she's going to have a big platform. She's going to make money. There's stupid people that will follow her. And, all the conspiracy theorists that probably think she's not guilty will follow her. And it's just, that's America. That's the America we live in. And I agree with you, Pete. I do not want this girl to be a legal advocate for anything.
No. Danny, I first learned about the double jeopardy charge or the double jeopardy law many years ago. I think it was like 99. There was a movie that came out called Double Jeopardy. I believe it starred Tommy Lee Jones. Have you ever seen that movie? Are you familiar with it?
Yeah, I do. I can't remember it right now, but I remember Tommy Lee Jones.
Yes. So, Danny, that was when I first heard about the double jeopardy standard. And I didn't know it was a real thing until I saw that movie. And then I started researching it. And I said, wow, this actually really is a real law in America where we have this double jeopardy standard to say that if someone gets off, they've already been tried for that crime, they can now do whatever they want. They can freely flaunt it. They can freely admit it. And they can't be tried again for the same crime. So, Danny, is there a way, though? Is there any way in your knowledge of the law and the system in America that she still could be prosecuted for anything, even whether it's endangerment or the recklessness? Is there anything that they could get her on if she did admit this one day?
All right, I'm gonna bring up an old case here. And Pete, you're a lot younger than me, so you might not remember this much. But you remember Rodney King?
Oh yes, 91.
Okay. 92, 91, somewhere around there. The 5 LA cops beat Rodney King, right?
Yeah.
It went to a state trial. They were all found not guilty. Riots everywhere. I mean, and if anybody saw the Rodney King thing, holy shit. I mean, these cops beat this poor guy. I mean, 100% they should have been found guilty. Somehow they were found not guilty. Riots, everything. The government comes back and rearrests them on federal charges. But the federal charges were different. The federal charges were that they violated his rights, you know what I mean? And they violated his rights. So that was a federal charge of violating his rights. In this, there would have to be some kind of new charge that's other than murder. And I don't see any other new charge. And you can't charge it federally, you know what I mean? So.
Okay, and that's why I was wondering.
I don't think there's no way to charge this girl with anything. She can come on TikTok and say I did.
So basically, you're saying she got away with it, and that's just it. She's now she's free. She's free and clear. It's basically where she's at now. Is that right?
She's free and clear. She can do whatever she wants, and it's horrible. It's horrible. I don't even know. Honestly, Pete, this girl, I don't know we talk about people sleeping at night. How did she sleep at night?
Probably through lots of Red Bull and vodka chasers and Valiums after her late nights doing hot body contests and dancing at the club for 3 hours. I guess that's the only way she could sleep at night, Danny, by shaking it in the club and then just being exhausted from probably doing drugs all night. I don't know. I don't know if she did drugs. I'm throwing that out there myself, but she probably.
I think she did.
It's just on her demeanor, Danny. And you and I have both had a lot of experiences and encounters with drug addicts and drug behavior and stuff. So we know that people on stuff act certain ways, say certain ways. They don't care about certain things. They don't prioritize certain things like their health, like their family, like the well-being of their child. And so these are definitely all indicators that she was probably using something during that time period. I don't know. Was a drug test ever even implemented during the whole trial? Do you know?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question.
Sure.
That's something we could look up. I'm not positive about that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was so much evidence that this girl was nothing but a party animal. I mean,
Yeah.
there was so much evidence. And I think, something we didn't bring up, I believe Baez, the attorney, they're basically saying that the father let her drown in the pool. Am I right, Pete?
Yeah, that was one of his multiple accusations. One of his multiple fingers that he pointed away from Casey was pointing the finger at Casey's father, saying, "You know what? It happened. Sorry, this was an accident. This was not a murder. This was just an accident. And baby Kaylee drowned. They covered it up. They hid the body, and here we are today, now in the courtroom talking about it."
Yeah, I totally agree. They made that story up. It's so could you imagine her poor father, mother? God, they lost a daughter, they lost a granddaughter. I mean, it's horrible. Them parents, I feel for them. I really do. It's horrible.
Yeah, our hearts go out to the victims of families for sure. Of course, all the family members who had nothing to do with this. If there's anyone who had involvement, or if there's multiple people who had involvement, which we know someone did this act, we know someone is responsible for putting duct tape on that little baby. Someone took that little baby to the field. Someone did that, Danny. So that person, I'm not forgiving. I'm going to say right now, maybe my heart will change in the future, but right now, I'm not forgiving whoever committed this act. But my heart goes out to everyone else. And one more thing I want to bring up as far as evidence, as we're wrapping up this episode, we're drawing to a close. I wanted to mention the fact that there was actually a technology trace in the house. It was showed that a Google search was done about how to chloroform someone.
I remember that. Yes. Now, how did the jury see that and not say, I don't get the jury, Pete. I don't get the jury at all.
This was also interesting. I believe it was even Mr. Baez, the defense attorney, who brought on Casey's mother to the stand. And Casey's mother said, "Oh, that was me that Googled about chloroform. I was accidentally Googling chlorophyll, which is the green pigmentation that's found in plants." She alleges that she was Googling chlorophyll to talk about her plants, and chloroform popped up in a suggested search, and she clicked it accidentally. That's what she alleged.
I don't believe that.
A big steaming pile of something, Danny. That does not sound like the truth to me at all.
And you know what? We got 3 minutes left. I did put that. Here's another theory that I think happened, Pete. Could have happened. When you're a party girl like her, where you're intoxicated every night, you're around weird fucking people. Your daughter your children start being around these people. People you don't know. People that could be pedophiles. You don't know who these people are you're hanging with. And I think that could have been a thing too. She's partying, she's leaving her kid with people she don't know, and the kid could have been murdered by one of them too. I mean, I'm just throwing theories out there that what could have happened.
Yeah, I think it's sad that we may never know the truth. I think it's sad that the double jeopardy clause in this case might prevent justice from really being done. And it's very sad that the world has lost baby Kaylee. It's sad that there's all these cases, Danny, that don't get the attention. I'm glad that we do get the spotlight on certain cases so we can talk about the examples of these heinous crimes and these criminals that are some of them getting away with it. But think of all the victims out there who don't get this media attention. So my heart goes out to all of them, Danny, every single one of them.
I agree. And now listen, we got 2 minutes left. Next week, we're going to do Gabby Petito.
Yeah, I think so. We've also had a lot of interest in the Menendez case as well. So
that's right.
We can maybe do one more poll this week, and make sure everyone who is listening right now, stay tuned for our late night TikTok live, as we're going to be jamming out there tonight in about an hour and a half.
Yeah, guys, our TikTok live is fun. We guess people's occupation, how old they are. It's just a fun time. And we might be having some cereal too. Cereal.
Absolutely. You can also touch on any of these cases in the TikTok live. So if you guys did not get a chance to get your questions answered, or you didn't even get to log in and give us your questions, come in later on the TikTok, as well as listen to these episodes again and again on Spotify, Audible, and everywhere you get your podcasts.
Yeah, Apple Podcasts. I think we are 13 podcast forums. We had, our Idaho, just to give you an example, our Idaho case is the most downloaded out of all our top four podcasts. Believe it or not, Pete, Karen Reed's the second.
Okay.
People like that Karen Reed case. I believe this podcast will go to number one. I think people are interested in this case.
Absolutely. Well, Danny, I'll go ahead and say goodbye to all the viewers. Thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you. I'll leave it to Danny to close us out, but y'all have an amazing day.
Guys, we'll be here next week. Share our podcast to people who love true crime. If you have a case you want us to do, let me know. DM me through social media, or you can email me, thecrimesolver@yahoo.com. We'll see everybody next week. See you guys. See you, Pete.
Have a good one.